Oh,
Is it? Did?
oh,
Welcome to Opinion Havers, a movie podcast for DJ Khaled. I'm Cody.
I'm Tyler.
Tyler, what do we watch?
We watched Aladdin.
2019?
Exactly. That's what Google calls it.
Live action Aladdin. And, I don't want to spoil the credits for anyone, but
There is an aggressive cameo from DJ Khaled.
Khaled pops up and turns out he's in charge of the credits music. The movie ends and there's about a quarter-second break.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where it's like, you want to be like, hey, dude, you want to, I know you say your name in every song you're in, but maybe like say it later, kind of mix it into the music. And he's like, no, I'm going to say at the beginning with nothing around it. It's going to be the first thing.
It was sort of like we talked about the Let's Get Ready to Dumbo. And this one, it had DJ Khaled just out of nowhere. I loved it. It made me really happy. Aladdin. How'd it go for you?
It went wicked. After the atrocity of Dumbo, I like this one.
I would agree. With the backdrop of live-action Dumbo, live-action Aladdin was really enjoyable. They did not pillage it. They did not pillage the source material. They did not betray me. I don't feel hurt on the inside.
It's almost like Guy Ritchie's a better filmmaker than...
Hold up.
What's his face that I've forgotten already?
Tim Burton. Yeah, I think Guy Ritchie defeated Tim Burton in this round very easily.
I am a fan. I like Guy Ritchie's movies.
Next up, maybe Netflix will give them each an original series or something, and we can see who does the better one of those.
It would definitely be Guy Ritchie.
I know it
would.
It
1,000% be Guy Ritchie.
If
they were each told to just go make whatever.
If they were just like, here's $3 million, give us 6 episodes of something.
Oh, at that price point, definitely Guy Ritchie. That's even more in Guy Ritchie's core. Are you kidding me?
But if they gave him $50 million and told him to give us 6 episodes of something.
I mean, it would still be Guy Ritchie, but I think Tim Burton could bring it a little closer.
Actually have a fighting chance. I mean, Tim Burton's old movies are pretty...
No, they're not.
They weren't as...
Name one Tim Burton movie.
They weren't as much of
good.
Scale as Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
They're not good.
His first movie...
None of them
was
good.
So good. Pee-wee's, it holds up. I saw it like 2 or 3 years ago. I loved it. Still, I loved it as a kid. Loved it today.
The one a lot of people remember is Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
You liked Beetlejuice. I bet you didn't like the movie. You liked the character.
It's the same thing with Nightmare Before Christmas. People like the music and they like the vibe, but it's not a good movie.
Yeah, let's just look at a couple of these. He made Cabin Boy, Singles, Star Kid. Let's not forget Star Kid.
What are you looking
which
at?
I am so happy I found this. We'll talk about Star Kid a little bit later. But
what list is this you're looking at?
Just his movies that came up when you Google him. Batman Returns. Sleepy Hollow. I've heard that was good, actually.
I like Sleepy Hollow.
Was it a good one?
I liked it. I don't know if it's fantastic. I liked it.
He is responsible for the 2001 Planet of the Apes, which I love how if you bring it up, a lot of people completely deny that it exists and laugh at you at the ridiculous notion of Tim Burton making a Planet of the Apes movie.
This man has been everywhere.
Night Before Christmas, Corpse Bride, which I liked, but it was I bet you it did not. I didn't like it as much as he spent on the movie.
Yeah.
I bet you the enjoyment that people get out of his movies is not equal to the
everyone. I think people saw Corpse Bride expecting Nightmare Before Christmas, but they forgot. Oh, right. Tim Burton only wrote the story and characters for Nightmare Before Christmas. He did not make Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks, it's a Tim Burton movie. Like, not really.
It does say Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas.
It's a Tim Burton idea.
Yeah.
That's it.
The director, Henry Selick.
And that guy has gone on to do, I think he did Coraline and a lot of those other movies. But
did he?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, but here's the thing. We're just still fuming from Dumbo. We are not talking about Tim Burton. We're not talking about Dumbo. We're talking about...
Aladdin.
Guy Ritchie.
Yes.
Tyler, can you bless us for those who did not have good childhoods? with the summary of Aladdin.
Here's what you do. You got a street rat. He is up and about. He's messing with stuff. He's stealing things. He's singing. He's dancing. He's going about. He meets this pretty little lady. She's in the streets. She saves her from a dude who wants to cut off her arm because she stole something. She didn't steal it. She gave it to a bunch of kids, but she stole it. He saves her. He takes it back to his dope pad that he has in the middle of nowhere. She finds out he's a street rat. Spoiler. She's a princess. So she's like, this is amazing. And they're both like, they bond over how they feel trapped sometimes and all that. And then she has to leave. And then he's there. And then she's a princess. He gets arrested by the bad guy. Finds a thing, rubs it. Blue guy comes out. Wishes. Prince. Monkey. Singing.
Carpet.
Who could forget about Carpet?
Who could forget about Iago?
Apparently, Guy Ritchie.
Oh, burn. Okay. That was a good summary.
Yeah.
Cartoon, come to life. There's still music. There's still whatever. Guy Ritchie directs it. All right.
Frank and Weenie. He made that movie, by the way.
Sure did. Well, did you ever see the original short? It's more like one of his student films.
No.
And it's live action, and it's something. And then they made it into a movie later on. That was a Tim Burton tangent again, once again.
Tim Burton, he haunts my dreams. Not his movies, not his ideas, him. He does.
Are you sure it's not just like he's in your room at night sometimes?
He could be. I don't know. Have you seen him? Shocking.
It's been a while.
Shocking. What do you think of the movie, Cody? Let's get you top level here.
I enjoyed it.
Yep.
I wasn't flawless. Still hasn't beat Pete's Dragon for the live action remakes for me. But it was solid. I think they hit the beats they needed to. I think they made some little errors in a couple things, and the story was a little awkward at a couple points, and some weird choices making an action director do songs. But as a whole, it was a good movie. The production value was definitely there. They added some story beats that I actually really liked. In some ways, they fleshed out the story in some parts, and I was like, that's really good. So, Will Smith did a good enough job.
I was surprised.
That was what I was most afraid of. People were going to freak out, and then I watched it, I was like, no, this is pretty good. So, it's good. If you're interested, I think you should check it out.
Can I give two big things I want to say specifically about the movie real quick?
Okay.
For all you guys wanting to go see it, all you thousands, really millions of fans that we have that might want to go see this film. I got two main things. One, the first thing is if you took the old movie and you took the musical, mushed them together, and then made your own thing out of the mush. That's what the movie is.
That makes sense.
Which I was not prepared for.
Oh.
So there was a lot of things where I was like, that's weird. Why did they do the song just like slightly differently? And then I was informed, well, that's how it goes in the musical, like the Broadway musical, not the old animated movie. Mm-hmm. So some of the songs are from that you might not recognize. Some of the melody will be different, or the way a chase is done, or the way a scene plays out is how it plays out in the Broadway musical.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the second thing is, Aladdin was my favorite movie when I was a child. Genie was my favorite part of the movie. I love all of the things Robin Williams did because of Genie. Genie was my entry point for that.
Yeah.
I cried. I did a little tear, a single man tear, when he passed. It was a sad time for me. The only celebrity to have ever gotten that reaction from me when they pass. The only one. Will Smith did a fine job. I think he did about as good a job as anybody would have done in that role. And I liked how part of me really wanted them to go and just do the same stuff, have him do the same stuff. But looking at it after the fact, I'm like, is a real good move that they did not, and they had him do his own thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. I have some to say about that.
Yeah, it's like they were like, this is Genie. You play, these are the things that are Genie. You play you as a genie.
Yeah.
you know, and then you're just going to do these things. Because that's kind of what it was. Is Robin Williams played, it's almost like they told him, like, if you were an ultimate cosmic power that could do anything, how would you act? And that's how he played the role.
Yeah.
And so it was like they told Will Smith the same thing. So he acted differently enough that it wasn't just him trying to redo the part.
I don't know if I totally agree with you there, because it seemed like a lot of it was still
I think
a shot-for-shot redo of Genie's part, but they did have stuff that was separate, and it was definitely a different iteration of it. I still agree with you. I think he did a good enough job with it, and I don't know if anyone else could have done a better job at it. And it was satisfying to me.
I would say... I'm sorry,
No,
sorry. I would say they did enough of the, like, we're going to have you do the exact same scene in the exact same way. But I thought they picked the ones they did based on let's do the ones that will hit the nostalgia factor, but not come across as you trying to do an imitation of Robin Williams.
Yeah, that's a good point, because there are some where it's like, well, how else would you do this line? You'd have to rewrite plot points to change this. So,
you know, like when he was doing the rules, like he said, like the I can't make anybody fall in love, and the I can't bring people back from the dead, and he did the I can't bring people back from the dead, where I think Genie in the original comic, doesn't he he is down and then he comes up like a zombie and he's got stuff, whereas this one they did like a mummy. So it's like similar, but they tweak a little bit differently. So it's like you do it a little differently. Or their first song from Genie was it was like, that was the only one that I could think of where it's like they did the exact same song, the exact same way.
Because how are you're not gonna rewrite that song.
Well, it's not even all the visuals, like the whole thing was the same, and I was like, I liked that they did that because it's like such a cool, like an iconic thing, and it was like, yeah. So I guess, I mean, there's not really, I mean, if we're not probably gonna spoil the story of the movie for you, but just in case, let's hop on this magic carpet, Cody.
Let's do it.
His name's Carpet.
That's his name.
I'll thank you to say hello to him. Shake his hand.
Hi.
Shake his little tassel.
Okay. Oh, it's soft.
It's very soft. We're going to climb up on top of him.
Okay.
We're going to travel the world as we spoil Aladdin for people. We're going to hit every single spoiler town. Not just USA.
Whoa.
But we're going to start in USA.
I'm here. Let's do it.
Okay. Jasmine dies. I don't know if she dies.
Eventually, she's going to die. She's immortal.
One day.
Here's the thing about this movie. Maybe my favorite thing they did is that they gave Genie a lot more to him, I thought, as far as just like story-wise. Because they start the movie, and it's Will Smith Genie as a human telling a story to his kids. Which is a smart way to get around Robin Williams, because originally it's like the guy at the stand.
Yeah.
But that whole thing is a Robin Williams improvisation where he like improvised. They put a bunch of things in front of him, like props and stuff, and then he improvises a bunch of funny lines, and then that like leads you into the story. But it's like you're not gonna have Will Smith do the same thing, but it's like, oh, Will Smith's gonna tell a story to his kids, and it's the Aladdin story.
Wait a second. One day soon we are going to watch the original Aladdin. We're going to review it. Mark my words, people. But I looked up a bunch of the songs from the 92 Aladdin, and one of them, because it did the Arabian Night, I was listening to Arabian Nights, and it flows just straight into him doing his thing. And he's like all mysterious and all that, and then he pulls the string on his camel and the stand just explodes out of his camel. He's like, come on down. He's like, oh, it's Tupperware. Look, it's still good. And it's just like, oh, it's so... I watched it and I was like, I liked Aladdin. That was a pretty good movie. And then I watched a bunch of the 92 Aladdin stuff, and I was just like, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so funny. I think that's why they tried to go a lot more like serious and have some more keep a more serious tone. It almost felt like this one, because they're like, we're not going to be funnier.
And the other one was a cartoon.
Yeah.
You make it live action, it loses some of that. And yeah, they made a few choices, some good, some bad. But like Genie kind of talks about. Does he talk about wanting to find love or wanting to travel the world or like it just felt like he had a reason? Then he gets a crush on the handmaid girl, and you're like, okay, we've got a reason to have Genie here, and a reason Genie wants to be free. And we have the teaser from the beginning, like, oh, is that Genie when he's free? And so just that whole thing, I was like, oh, that really gave me a lot of sympathy for him, because in the first one, you love him because Robin Williams is hilarious, and Will Smith is great and he's charismatic, but he's not a comedian like Robin Williams is, but they gave him a good story, and that made me like the Genie character a lot. Yeah,
because in the 92 Aladdin, he says, he's like, he asked him, well, what would you wish for? And he says, well, I would wish to be free.
Yeah.
And they leave it at that. Whereas this one, he says, well, I wish to be free. I'd wish to be human, to have a life, and to have a family. Like, so he adds more detail to, like, the other Genie, because, there's the 3 Aladdin movies, to where he's still a genie. He's just has less power because he's not bound to the lamp anymore.
Yeah.
But he can still do magic and stuff. He's still a genie. He's not a human. Whereas this one, he's like, I would want to be human.
Mm-hmm.
And to like have a family and grow old and die. Do that. That's what I want to do. Which, like I said, makes the end more impactful.
Yeah, and it kind of gives play to Jasmine's got... Because in the other one, it's like Jasmine, and she's got a tiger, and she has daddy issues. Whereas this one, it's like, oh, well, she's got a friend who's her handmaid, and it was kind of nice to have that. And I love that comedian. She's from Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that she got to do a role in a movie. And I did think one thing Disney did well is that they didn't culturally appropriate the movie. That they got Middle Eastern actors to do all of these parts, and they all did a good job, I thought.
But what a bummer that Rami Malek didn't play Aladdin.
I would have loved that.
I would have hated it. I wouldn't have gone to go see the movie, probably.
I mean, I think they cast Aladdin pretty well.
Yeah, but as soon as I saw that guy, I was like, there's going to be people who will be like, would have been better if he had played Aladdin. And I'm like, those people need to be thrown in a hole of some sort.
Rami Malek. Can Rami Malek sing? I guess. Well, we had this question, you and I, about Bohemian Rhapsody, if he sang his parts or not.
Which I think he sang the parts where it was like...
I think...
Where he like half sings it, where it's not supposed to sound like...
Yeah.
Good, amazing singing. He's just supposed to keep a tune. But the singing was probably... They just had the guy who tours with Queen do the singing and then dub over him.
I think you're wrong about all of it, but that's okay.
Wait, you think he sings all those parts?
I think they took clips of Freddie singing and threw it in the movie.
I don't think they did that.
I think they definitely did. There's one scene where they very obviously did that.
I think some of them did. I think they...
We're rehashing an old argument, an old episode.
What was it?
We will settle this. I will buy the DVD. I will watch all the special features.
The Live Aid concert, they definitely did.
Yeah.
And when it was played in the Bohemian Rhapsody, when it was done, like them, when it was doing the thing of... It was playing it over them recording it. I think they did it then. But... So...
Here's the thing.
I'm just amazed that you don't believe that they would have had 3 separate types of singing in there. I bet you every single one of those songs was sung by a different person.
No way.
Probably.
Are we talking about Queen still?
Yeah.
All right. Here's the thing.
But before you say that... No, go ahead.
I didn't like the new song.
The Jasmine's?
In Aladdin. Yeah, they added a song. I didn't dig it. It didn't... It was one of those things where you could tell it was written by... It seemed like it was written at a different time by a different person. Yeah. It didn't fit with any... It was a whole different style from all the other songs.
Can I say... So I didn't mind the song. I thought the song was like you said, like I thought it was all right, but it definitely did not fit.
Didn't fit. That was my problem with it.
And the scene also did not fit. It's like, hey, Guy Ritchie, the action filmmaker, you make a thing, and then they're like, stop, Guy Ritchie, the music video maker. Make a music video, insert it into your action movie, and then go back to movies.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And he made a movie. And it's like, so obviously, like, they're like, use your budget to make a music video within the movie. And it's like, normally they don't do this. Yeah,
it was a little odd.
I thought it was cool, but it did not fit the tone.
Yeah, it didn't.
Of the film.
Because the Aladdin music, it's got the Middle Eastern vibe, but it's very much a Disney show tune, cartoon song. Whereas that one was like, this is like a off-Broadway musical solo for a theater major. And I was like, this doesn't...
Yeah. It fit the tone of probably like if you went to go see it in the the musical. Like it probably would have seemed.
Well, it's interesting you say that as well, because at Disney California Adventure Park, the one in California, for like 10 years they have a theater there, and they were doing the Aladdin musical, like a condensed version of it. So it's like a 45-minute musical instead of like the full 2-hour one, 2 or 3-hour one. But so it was interesting to see. But that one, it was much closer to the cartoon. They just condensed that for the stage. But
that makes sense, because those people are they're coming to see Aladdin, whereas people on Broadway are going because they're like, oh, I heard this Aladdin musical is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like they're going because it's a musical on Broadway. Whereas Disneyland, they're going for Disney.
Yeah.
Where were the pyramids?
I felt like the scene, what's the name of that song? A Whole New World?
Yeah.
I felt that scene was really short.
Yes,
Did they cut out a verse and a chorus of that?
I think so.
Which was like a real bummer. It's like, why? If you're going to do this scene, which is a 3-minute scene, why are you going to cut a minute out of it? It seemed really weird.
Yeah. Well, it's like, because I could see them being like, well, the cartoon, I guess, you could imply that it takes place in like in the Middle East, whereas this was done it was done in more of a Bollywood style. So I don't know if they were trying to imply that it took place in India instead of the Middle East.
No, it was still the Middle East,
but they didn't. That was the whole thing there. I was like, that's the only reason I could think of, because they have the Sphinx and the pyramids in the cartoon. They don't have them in here. And I was like, oh, maybe do they have to pay to use? I was like, you don't have to pay to use those, because you don't have to pay to use anything that's a monument.
A natural wonder monument.
It's not a natural.
I mean, a wonder
of the but like an ancient monument, you don't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I don't know. I saw someone. Yeah, and I did take issue with some of the singing, because some of the singing, they would sing and then they'd like speak some of the lines, and I think they were just trying to give it a different feel than the original songs. But I kind of wish they had just copied the original songs and then done all the tweaking just to the story in between, because I don't know. I'm trying to think of some. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head.
Well, the chase scene at the very beginning. That's
chase scene. Yeah, that's a good example.
Which is the one that I've talked to some people where it is done in the style of the musical.
Here's the biggest problem I have with that scene. So Aladdin singing, some of the village or townspeople or whatever you call them are doing a couple of quips, and then there's the guards singing, and there's one part where the guards are like, Aladdin sings something.
Yeah, it's like the first part the guards sing,
and then the guards are like. It's like they say something about like they're chasing him, and I just remember like all of them singing together, and then in the middle of a line,
yeah, it's like a word.
It's just a solo, and it's like round the back guys, because it's supposed to be like
round the back guys. Yeah,
so the round the back guys part is a solo, but then the two
words
before it. Or all the guys singing. It was just.
I thought it was like all four of them were like round the back, and then they cut, and the one guy's like guys,
back guys, and you're like, what?
Does he say more than one word? I thought it was just the one.
I don't know. We might have to rewatch the movie, but I just remember as John was like, okay, in the cartoon you all sing together, and having one person sing the last word or two of the line is very confusing for me.
It sounded like the audio cut out
bad. Oh, speaking of which, we had an interesting experience at the theater.
Yes, we did.
They started the movie.
Oh, yeah.
We got maybe, 12 minutes in, would you say?
We got to when they were at his banging pad.
Oh, they just went back to the bachelor pad.
Yeah.
And the audio cut? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
And the picture cut? Or is it just the audio?
The audio... So the picture had a couple like little. The picture dimmed at one point, because I do remember that happening. So the audio cut, and then they fixed the audio, and then the picture dimmed. And I remember looking, but I was like, no, I'm not going to start talking, because it's going to open Pandora's box if I start talking to this group of people that we went to go see it with.
Yeah.
But I thought to myself, I'm like, it looks like somebody like this is being played off of a computer, which it is being played off of a computer.
Yeah.
And it's like the screen just dimmed. It's on battery. It's about to go dark and turn off. And I thought that to myself, and I'm like, There's no way they didn't set the settings on these computers to be like, just go until you die.
Yeah.
Because just, who cares? There's no instance where the power gets killed to the building and we're like, oh, look, we don't have enough battery to finish. It's like at that point, your projector turns off. So it's like, there's no way. Guess what? They definitely did not set the setting. It turned off. The computer did that, but that was after the audio had cut out.
Yeah. So we had a little break where like it turned off.
And the video was having issues.
Yeah, so it turned off for a little bit. Someone was nice enough to go out and like let the theater people know. There was silence. Some people said some quips. One guy sang the first line of A Whole New World. Someone else on the other side of the theater answered back and sang the second line from A Whole New World.
Now, I want to give this guy full credit because he's like, all right, let's do it. A whole new world. Like, he went for it, but and he said, let's do it, and then paused, and then started singing.
And he had a good voice. Like, yeah. I was like, oh,
don't you dare close your... They were going to go for it. I was like, I want to hear these people sing this whole song. Because it was two people who were pretty good. Like, the two people who were confident to sing back and forth to each other. I was like... They sang it better than the movie, I think, though. Because they sang the Disney 92 version.
Which worked better. I wish they'd... I don't know.
Refilm the whole movie with those two people.
From the theater?
Yes.
The two dudes?
No, there's a girl that sang the Jasmine part of A Whole New World.
I missed that.
She responded.
It was, yeah, I don't know. There
was a dude that did respond.
I'm just saying the music in the movie, they just didn't quite... That part, they didn't quite nail all of it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think it was a bad decision to use this Broadway musical versions of the music.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it was a bad idea because most people don't like Broadway musicals as much as people who like Broadway musicals think they do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So especially when it's the music of Aladdin is A Whole New World is an absolute classic. And I think they should have just kept the source material.
It's like somebody thought, well, the musical's more modern.
Yeah.
So it'll sound better to a modern audience, and it's like we all have these songs memorized.
And then Beauty and the Beast, they stuck right to. I mean, the staple songs of Beauty and the Beast, they stuck to them, and I thought they sounded fine. And I don't know.
I did like how they did do it. I feel like this movie was made much more in the Bollywood style, and I dug every minute of it.
Yeah, there were some weird choices. Like, can we loop back to the chase scene in the beginning?
Yes.
So there's a part where he is walking at a kind of awkward pace, like they had.
Well, they sped up
his walking, but then there's the guys chasing him, like, and they're going in slow motion behind him, and so I don't know how they did it. If they had shot two scenes and then overlaid them, it looked weird. So he's like walking at like fast pace, like 1.25 pace through the thing, singing his song. People are chasing him, but they're running in slow mo, and I was just like, why? Guy Ritchie, why didn't you just do like an action chase scene?
Well, here's what I wonder is, it seemed to me like what they wanted was the Guy Ritchie who directs like every third music video you ever saw in the early 2000s. Was that when he was doing it a ton?
I know like Snatch was 97 or 99 and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Like that.
I'm talking about the music videos he directs.
I don't know his music videos.
So whenever he was like the guy for big budget music videos, which he still does, I think, fairly often.
A lot of people do. They'll throw in.
It's like they wanted that guy, but he wanted to do like a heist movie, which would have been like, this is the perfect thing to give to him, to be like, hey, you know, like just like you made King Arthur.
Yeah.
Which I liked. I liked that movie a lot. Like, do that, but you have the Aladdin property and Disney money behind you, so that you can make that, but
make sure you do the musical numbers, really, make it fun, do whatever you want.
Yeah. Which is what they should have done. I think they would have gotten a much more different than the original, but a much better movie, personally.
Yeah, and that's what I want from these Disney live-action movies. Take the property, rework it and change it, keep the few parts we love about it, but make it your own, and then we're not comparing it directly to the original. Someone I know on Facebook posted, lovely Aladdin movie. If you go in here thinking it's just the photocopy of the original, don't. It's totally different. I'm like, no, it's It's the exact same plot from the original and the same music from the original. They did tweak the plot a little bit here and there, but they tweaked it. They didn't rework the plot. And if you're gonna give it to Guy Ritchie, you might as well let him rework the plot.
It's like the meme where it's like, hey, can I get your homework? Yeah, but just change it a little bit so you can't tell. It's exactly like that.
But I mean, that's the problem we have with Dumbo, is that like they made the plot dumb. Like it was illogical, and they kind of just...
Well, with Dumbo, they kept the plot, but then they're like, you remember those 3 crows that are in the movie for 2 minutes? They're racist. Let's replace it with a storyline nobody cares about, a family.
Yeah.
It's like, why? You could have just done the Dumbo storyline. Like, the story they learn and everything is completely different. The whole point of the film is different. Everything is completely different in Dumbo than it was in that one. Whereas this one, you could do the same arc of like, you have a guy, you have the genie, he wants to be with the princess, but he can't.
And the way they tweaked it is like they gave Jasmine much more of a role, and in the end, she becomes the Sultan.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, she wants to be a leader, and she wants to, just like she looked up to her mom, she wants to lead the people and be an independent person, and not just be a person that used to get married off for political power. And I loved that part of it. And it's like, yeah, we could have... There was a lot of story you could... And so they fleshed out her story. They fleshed out Jeannie's story. Really good. So, I mean, they definitely did a better job with the story in this than Dumbo. The changes they made, I thought, were good. They made sense.
I didn't...
Just there were some beats that were weird. I loved... Can we talk about the jam scene?
The jam scene?
So...
I like to think that he just forgot a line and they just let him keep going.
Yeah.
They're like, I love that. It's
almost
so perfect.
Yeah, so like when he comes, they do the Prince Ali Ababwa musical number.
Yeah.
He's coming, he's in court with the princess, and he's like, we brought you these gifts. He's listing off this like golds, elephants, and like he gets down like in his list like jams, and they're like staying a lot on jams, get a fig jams, whatever, seedless, and it's like, get off jams, you're staying on jams for a long time.
He's like, go to gems. he's like, gems, yes, lots of gems and jewels.
Yeah, and it was funny. It was one of those things where I'm like, if you can pull this scene off, why weren't there more scenes like this in the movie?
Yeah. Well,
why not rewrite keep the musical numbers, rewrite all the dialogue in between, and do your own thing, because you did a great job with that scene. The chemistry of the cast was working, and it was funny.
Well, that's what I'm interested to know. Of like, I would love to sit down with Guy Ritchie and like ask him, like, because that's why I say it seems like what he wanted to do was make a Guy Ritchie version of Aladdin. What they wanted was him to make a bunch of music videos and just be like there while they loosely tied it together. And he managed to slip some stuff in, because the jams is very Guy Ritchie.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some of the stuff, like some of the other stuff, is like, I don't know. It seemed like less like any director and more like the 3 Disney executives that were on set at all times.
And maybe that's the problem, because Guy Ritchie became known for his indie British gangster movies.
Yeah, he makes heist movies.
And then when you go to make a Disney movie, it's the same problem with like Edgar Wright and Marvel, where it's like they had creative differences, and Edgar Wright left Ant-Man because he wanted to make a movie, and he's used to being able to make his own movies. And when you make a movie for Disney, then you're subject to what they want and what they're looking for in the project.
It seems like such a weird one to have that kind of thing on, because of his here's the idea. Let me sum up Guy Ritchie's movies. You've seen the Sherlock Holmes movies, right?
Just the first one.
So that one is the slowest paced, I would say, of his movies. His movies are very like, they play with the idea of, oh, we gotta go. He's like, oh, the boss stole your girlfriend. We gotta go save her. And he's like, no. That's what they think we're gonna do. Like, that's his whole thing of like, no, this is what you think is gonna do. Or you get to the point, kind of like, have you seen the Ocean's movies?
Yeah.
Where they say, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and they describe the heist. And then at the end of the description, where you've seen the heist, instead of being like, and the heist begins, they're like, the heist is over. Now we deal with the ramifications of the heist.
Yeah.
You just watched us do the heist. We are professionals. We know what we're doing. We've done it. That's his whole thing of like, you already know what's going to happen, so we're going to just bust through what's going to happen, and we're going to focus on the stuff that nobody ever looks at, which is what are the ramifications of this hero story or whatever.
Yeah.
Or of like this thing where it's like, oh, the gangsters have this problem. You already know these steps. You've seen a billion movies with this step, with these parts. Let's go after that. Or let's see, like, no, because this is what's going to happen. And they'll like cut to a scene where it's like they're reenacting what this guy's like, this is how it's going to go down. And everybody's with their voice. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do it this way. And then they do it a different way, which I think for this would have been perfect. Because not only that, because they could have used his that shtick as being like.
Could have been a genie thing. Easy.
Yeah. Or it's like, what's a iconic, like, not musical scene from the original Aladdin?
I mean, there's the part where he's going back and forth with Genie about how to woo Jasmine, right? Where he's like, what do I do? And it's like, you do this. And he's like, just be yourself, you know?
Oh,
it's like that whole back and forth. Yeah, and he's a little bee.
Yeah.
There's like stuff like that I remember.
Yeah. So things like that where, you know, you could have played with that. Or actually, I have a good example for one that would work. Because I'm sure there's tons where they could have done, like, he's talking to somebody. Like, have introduced another human that he could talk to. Or, like, have the guard captain not be instantly, like, turn and, like, ruin Jafar's plans.
Yeah.
And have him, like, work with him and be like, here's what I gotta do. I got busted with the magic carpet. The guard captain be like, no, because this is what's gonna happen. And then him describe what happens in the original cartoon. And then they do it a different way and succeed at getting
That'd be cool. Or even, like, in the beginning scene where he's like, here's what's gonna happen. There's guards here. Here's how we get away from the guards with Jasmine.
Yeah.
Or here's how we sneak Jasmine back into the palace. Something like that.
Yeah. It's like, I would have loved that style of it. Where he's like, no, because this is what'll happen. It'll be done.
You would have loved a Guy Ritchie movie.
Yes. Oh. I love Guy Ritchie movies. And I would have loved it. And I think a lot of people would have liked it. But I do think I honestly think this one will do better than that would have done. I think the other one would have been critically received better. But people would have been...
Like, Guy Ritchie fans and critics would have loved it. But then if you're talking about all the families that are showing up for the nostalgia factor and the Disney factor, might have been disappointed.
Yeah, which, I mean, I don't know how well this movie's actually doing. Let's see. I had a little thing. Like, what do you think it costs, budget-wise?
It's probably 140, 180 million.
Is it 180? So it's at 255.
That's how much it's made.
So it's
not that much. And it's not going to make that much more because, I mean, Avengers is totally stopped. It's barely making any more money. And there's, a lot coming out in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I did see an article talking about how, was it... Godzilla, Aladdin, and another movie. I think it was like a comedy movie that's out right now. Oh, like Rocket Man. And it's like the movies that are out right now are perfectly like, they're not really competing with each other in a genre. They're all like, there's like big movies in every genre.
Positioned for their certain niche that they're set up for.
And they're getting more money.
Like I said, niche and not niche.
Niche.
Because I'm an American.
Niche. So yeah, it was an interesting little thing where it was talking about how they're making more than they would normally make. I think because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is interesting. I don't know. There's a lot that I liked about this movie. Aladdin did well. Jasmine did well. Jafar was well cast. I thought the dad was pretty good. Will Smith did as good a job as anyone would do. I thought they did a good job with the monkey. Carpet was good. I could have dealt with maybe a little more carpet because in the original, he and Abu have their sort of hijinks together, and there wasn't as much of that, which is fine. But can I tell you what did bother me?
Iago?
Okay, let's just backpedal a little bit. The F happened to Iago. What did they do to him?
I don't know. They took him out of the movie, basically.
In the original movie, you got Robin Williams doing the genie, and then, who is a famous comedian, then you got Gilbert Gottfried, another famous comedian, doing the parrot for Jafar. Yeah. They scrapped that whole idea, and it's just a parrot that talks way too much and just repeats words back. That's all he does. And every time he repeats back a word, I'm like, is that word important or is this parrot just annoying? Why is he even here? Like, he might as well have just been a parrot, like a staple of Jafar. He was. But then why is he repeating so many words? It was so distracting for me.
This is how you can describe it. So in the original cartoon, where when other people are around, like Iago can talk. Like, it's obvious that Jafar has done magic to him somehow. Yeah. He is an intelligent thing that can talk and think and is his advisor, essentially, Yeah. But when other people are around, he has to act like a parrot.
It's like Calvin and Hobbes scenario.
Yeah. So it's like if you took the original cartoon and cut out all the scenes with Jafar and Iago and only showed the part where Gilbert Gottfried's like, cracker. Just that. That's what Iago is in this movie. Yeah. It's like, he's constantly pretending to be a parrot because like he.
But
even
then
has
we
that
never
scene.
see him be. So it's like, why is he trying so hard to be a parrot when
Yeah, I thought the
trying
same
so hard
thing.
to act like a normal parrot when he's just a normal? I don't know. But then there's a scene where Jafar, when he becomes a sorcerer, is like, all right, now we're going to turn Iago into everybody's nightmare, which is a giant hawk eagle parrot, demon parrot.
I think he did. He just did. He
Just
turn
like-
him into a demon, or did he just make him a giant parrot?
I mean, here's the thing. I don't love birds. I don't mind birds at a distance, but I don't like to be very close to birds. They just freak me out when they flap their wings and they peck at me. You know, like I'm just like, just keep that away from you. You got sharp claws. Just don't even. And then when he turned it into the giant, I was like, this is terrifying. How? I don't want a part of this.
Can I take a quick aside to go back to Guy Ritchie for just a second?
Please.
Because you were talking about like the critics would have loved the Guy Ritchie version of the movie. His movies are not generally liked by the critics. His highest films are like 70-something.
Yeah.
%.
It's very okay. So it's just he's got his little group of people.
He makes
that like,
fun movies to watch, and it's cool to see movies that I think critics hate his pacing style.
I need to watch Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah.
Because I need to get a vibe for it. Because I've only really seen a couple of his movies, like Sherlock Holmes, this. I think there's one other. But he only has like 6 or 7 movies.
He has a lot of movies.
Does he?
Yes.
Maybe I'm thinking the ones he wrote and directed? I don't know.
Probably.
Anywho.
A smaller list. But yeah, I think
Iago's
it's
terrifying.
Iago's so dumb.
It's like, yeah, they should have cut that, in my opinion.
Or made a better version of it.
Or made a better version. And it's hard. It's hard to replace Robin Williams, but he was dead and his character was integral to the story. It's hard to replace Gilbert Gottfried, but instead instead of just taking out that part and just leaving, he's got his signature parrot, they were like, well, we got to have the parrot be really annoying the whole time and add nothing to the plot. I don't know. I mean, he did do some spying for Jafar, and he's like, hey.
That's what drives me nuts. Is it's like it's obvious it's Iago, but it's like you just cut out all of the speaking parts for Iago's.
It's weird. And so it's like if you need to trim down time on the story, because it was like a 2-hour movie, then just cut out Iago or just have him there. He doesn't have to say anything. He can just be like, oh, he's always got his parrot with him because that's his pet. Fine.
Or cut out one of Jasmine's like 15 monologues.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Cody. You liked the Jasmine bit, the Jasmine upgrade, as some people have never called it. I honestly thought like the 92 Jasmine becoming the Sultan and leading the kingdom is more believable to me than this Jasmine. This Jasmine was just a whiny like, I can do it! How dare you disrespect me? Whereas the other Jasmine was just kind of like, this sucks, but I'll deal with it and do the best I can with the situation.
She had a quiet dignity. I mean, not that quiet, but...
Like, yeah, no, but she was like... This one was like, I'm powerful and strong. And the
like
other
the
one's
same
like...
reason why some people, not me, of course, but some people don't like Brie Larson.
People are selling me on the anti-Brie Larson stuff, though.
I think a lot of it's propaganda.
I think it's her ruining a good movie and a cool character. I think it's her as a person being like, oh yeah, that's real. And it's like, don't be the J.K. Rowling of this universe, okay? Don't do this. Don't be the one that everyone's like, did you see with the hammer and how cool it was? And she's like, nah, yeah, I can do that too. And everyone's like, shut up. No.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I love the jam bit. You know what I didn't love?
Bit.
Wash my cat. I did not like that bit. Did you find that distasteful at all?
I found it. I was like, oh, so it's going to have some of those? And it was the only, like, not very well hidden dirty joke. And I was
very
just like,
awkward.
Because that's one of the things, I feel like it was like, because Disney is known for, like, people having hidden very inappropriate things in old Disney movies.
Yeah.
Like, stuff they have gone back and aggressively, like, wiped from existence.
Yeah.
Whereas, so it almost felt like an homage to that, but I was like, but those guys, like, they did it to where it was like 20 years later, everyone was like, do you remember this being a thing? And everyone was like, was it? And it was difficult to find and stuff. Like, it was very well hidden to where you're like, I mean, did they just not know what was happening? This one's, I have to go watch my cat, which could be It's a weird line, but it could also be a sexual thing.
And then he said, "Doesn't your cat, or I thought your cat washed itself, or doesn't your cat wash itself?" And I was like,
well, because, and then wasn't there like,
which is fine.
What's the tiger's name? Why am I spacing on the tiger's name? I'm panicking. No.
It's got a great name. It's Raja. Raja.
Because Raja's there, and I think he's like even licking his paw or something, isn't he?
Yeah, well, if they had said tiger, it's fine. But the fact that they decided to say cat, you're like, you're going to really lean into this? Please no. I don't want to be a part of this.
Yeah, it was weird. It was strange. It was meant to be like an awkward moment, and they succeeded not... I mean, it was definitely awkward, but it was like, this is a weird way to do it, though. It was like... It made me feel like the writers were awkward, not that the character was awkward.
Yeah, it was... Oh, well. It's fine. I liked the scene where Genie doesn't make him dance.
I did like that.
I enjoyed that scene. It was like, this is another example of something you added to this that I thought worked very well.
Yeah, that was where it nailed for me the Bollywood aesthetic that they were going for with the visuals of it, the very colorfulness of the whole movie, and the costume design and everything like that.
Yeah. Here's my biggest, and if I can, I mean, I've said a lot of what I will say about this movie. My biggest problem, though, the entire time, I watched it and I was like, I just wish that Jason Mantzoukas was in every supporting role. When I saw Jafar, I was like, that guy's doing a fine job. Should have been Jason Mantzoukas. When I saw the guy who Jasmine steals from, I was like, that should have been Jason Mantzoukas. When I saw the guard chase, I was like, those should have been Jason Mantzoukas. And it was just like with John Wick's, how I'm just like, TikTok man, let's go. I'm ready for him. It's like, Jason Mantzoukas would have done a great job in any of these roles, and he's already got the beard and the hair. So that was my biggest qualm, is I was like, why isn't Jason in this movie? I don't think he's ready. I don't know.
Was he in a movie recently that
John Wick's?
He was in John Wick. I don't know. I guess that's probably what I'm thinking of. I felt like
he's mostly TV. He hasn't been in a lot of movies. He's been in a couple. Saving Other People. The Long Dumb Road is his newest one.
Sorry.
I'm the end of list.
What did you feel about the guy who played Jafar?
He was okay. I feel like the original Jafar was so nefarious, and he's got that pointy chin and the terrible goatee, and he was so obviously villainous, and I think they used the scepter better. And this one, I think he did okay. He did well enough, but it was interesting they kind of changed it. Like, I don't know. He did fine. Every time I saw him, I was like, I know you from something. I looked up his IMDb.
Nothing.
I think it's a lot of foreign movies, stuff I've definitely never seen him in.
Yeah. So, who would you have cast if you had to cast Jafar? Because
once again,
somebody.
Jason Mantzoukas.
See, that's the thing. You said that, and I was like, you would have to do that. Someone who could lean into like the comedy aspects of it, but totally fail at the menacingness. But the other person I thought is like, you completely throw out the need to like have everybody look the same, and you just cast people who would play the character well. And I thought of Mark Strong.
Oh yeah, he'd be really good.
I thought he would have been the perfect Jafar.
Yeah.
You know, because he would have nailed, like, the way... I don't know who voiced Jafar in the cartoon.
No idea.
But, like, he could have talked that exact same way and, like, just nailed it.
Yeah.
And I thought that, I was sitting there, I was like, this could have been done better, but I feel like you're like, no, we need to get a bunch of foreign actors that all are for the same nationality. And it's like, I mean, we've kind of moved to a point where I feel like you don't need to do that anymore. Like, especially for someone who's meant to be this, he came out of nowhere to be the vizier.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is like, that's how they kind of get around it. Because in the movie, they make a point of saying, oh, he's from a rival kingdom, from a different kingdom.
Yeah.
Or a different kingdom captured him and tortured him, and that's why he wants to go and conquer them. And so it's like, he even could have been someone like Martin Sheen, that British guy, who, I mean, he's been in a few things lately, but I think he would have done a great job with it. And he's got the British accent, which Jafar kind of has anyway. Like, I don't know, I
think we're thinking of Martin Sheen.
What's that? I'm thinking
about Uncle Ben?
Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen, okay.
Sorry. He's the British Sheen, not the American Sheens.
Is
that
Michael
right?
Sheen.
Michael Sheen.
Yeah, it's pulling him up. I think. Yeah. Yeah, he's that guy.
I think he would have done a great job. And he can grow a beard. He's got hair. He's got kind of curly hair.
Grow beard.
He's always done a good job in everything I've seen him in. So I just looked through
He was definitely
who played Jafar, Jonathan Freeman. I couldn't find anything
wasn't
that you would recognize him from. He's in Aladdin, The Producers, and Shining Time Station.
Oh.
And then all his other credits are just voice acting for Jafar in everything, from Kingdom Hearts, the video game, to The Return of Jafar.
The guy who played him.
Yeah.
See, that's another thing where I feel like where they're like, let's pull from the new stuff. Which I get for like, you're like, oh, then the kids who are playing Kingdom Hearts and watching like a more recent cartoon or have seen the play, like they'll recognize this stuff. But it's like, but the people that are going to pay you $1 billion to go watch the movie are the people who want to just see a 4K 92 version. Like that's all we want. Like if they could have just re-released the cartoon and made the same amount of money, probably.
Yeah.
I was looking at the movies for Michael Sheen.
Yeah.
And I remembered something that flashed in my mind. He was the one that we talked about in the Twilight series, where it was like shocking him and he was one of like the 3 or 4 actors where whenever they were on stage, you're like, oh, these are good actors.
Yeah.
Around a lot of not good actors. It was like him and all of the Volturi, and the questionable. I mean, we were just so distracted by the beauty of Carlisle.
Yeah, of course. I don't know. I really have an affinity for Michael Sheen. He's in Passengers. He plays like the robot butler.
So good in Passengers.
He's in 30 Rock. He plays Liz Lemon's fated lover, except they hate each other. And he has like a 3-episode arc that's just, it's amazing. I love it so much. But anyway, so I wish.
Are you going to bypass his biggest movie ever?
Which one?
You know the one.
Oh, Midnight in Paris?
Oh, no. Tron Legacy.
He's in Tron Legacy?
Yeah, he's in Tron Legacy.
How?
Oh, my dear sweet child, Cody. He plays a character. I don't remember the name of his character, though. He plays Zeus. The guy who, like, owns the nightclub and he's, like, twirling his stick.
Oh, that's him?
He's good in all of the movies. I also like The Range. He played that guy who's like I'm a criminal mastermind, evil overlord thing, but I'm just owning a nightclub and doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And then he plays the guy in Twilight he's the only good part of a couple of those movies.
He does TV and he's really funny in his TV roles.
Yeah, he does a good job of being like incredibly sinister and incredibly funny, which I think it's like him. Mark Strong can do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a couple of other actors, and I'm like, any one of these guys would have done a better job as Jafar.
Yeah.
To bring it back to Jafar.
I will say, talking about Jafar, they took out the part where Jafar makes Jasmine his sex slave for like 3 seconds, and it gets really weird. And I was very happy they took that out, because as a child, I loved Aladdin, except for that part. I was always like, sex? Like, I was always so confused. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, but,
your beard is so twisty. I was like, the energy of this scene is making me so uncomfortable.
Oh, I wanted it though. Part of me really wanted it, but part of me was like, this guy he does not ooze sex the way Jafar did in 92. Okay?
Yeah. But. So, I'm glad they took out that story beat, because that was one thing I thought when I went to see it. I was like, I'm not ready for that scene live action. I'm not going to be able to handle it.
That's definitely a scene that's, it's easier to do as a cartoon, because you can be like, that's a cartoon.
It's so over the top and cartoony. And
yeah, plus, having recently gone through some of the old Dragon Slayer games, that whole scene is like just ripped almost straight out of Dragon Slayer. Almost
really?
Like well, it's like the look of it and the everything, which those are, they got Princess Daphne in them. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was like, yeah, no one's going to recognize this. At the time, there was probably a lot of like teens and parents who were like, oh, I know this look. I played through this level in a video game in this room at the arcade, Whereas now, no one knows what that's from.
Yeah.
No one knows that's what that's referencing.
I did definitely. I wanted to ask you too about the costumes. Because for me at least, like 90% of the costumes, I thought they did a really good job with them. I thought they looked good. My biggest problem, Aladdin's saggy bottom jogger pants. I didn't like it.
They weren't big enough. In my opinion.
Because they were kind of big, and this one it was just like he had a deflated saggy pancake butt, and like they just looked like they threw a pair of like ill-fitting joggers, like modern day joggers, on him.
Yeah.
And let him run around instead of like something he might have had in that time.
Yeah, which I didn't even realize. I thought he was just wearing pants. And then I was like, why is his crotch so low? And I was like, oh, it's supposed to be like his pants from the cartoon. Which, yeah, the fact that his costume made sense after I thought about it. It looked accurate after I thought about it. Means that they missed the mark on it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Of course, they didn't give... Jasmine's was much easier to identify as like, oh, that's her blue dress.
Did she?
Yeah, but they like cut out... They
didn't do the tummy... They didn't do the... Yeah,
she didn't have a belly dress, so it was just a blue dress with the gold and stuff on it.
Yeah.
What'd you think of her dress when she came to see the prince, the first prince that I loved him, by the way. One of the best characters of the movie.
You enjoyed that one?
Oh, yeah, I did.
It didn't quite vibe for me, but I appreciated the effort, and I do like that actor.
I loved it so much. It was so funny.
He's like the super goofy Scandinavian or
I know.
Like prince.
There's theories based on because there's the big thing where the Disney's all connected. All the Disney movies are.
Sure.
That everyone's like, well, when does this happen? And they take things that are in the background of the original Cave of Wonders and stuff. Genie says, and it indicates that Aladdin takes place in the way distant future, and Genie's actually a technology that was created, an AI that was created, gosh. But it's like way future. Because he says something like he references something, and then it's like, I haven't done this in so many thousands of years, and they're like, so that would do this, and then there's other stuff about the architecture where it is and the society and how all that, and it's interesting because there's other movies that like also do stuff, so it's like they didn't plan it, and then at a certain point they're like, all right, we're just gonna start planting the seeds of this that it's an actual shared universe.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why there's like 100 different kingdoms and stuff like that. Is it's like the world ended, it has been rebuilt, and these things are like, I think someone compared it to where like did you ever play Destiny, the video game?
For like 2 seconds.
So there's a thing called the war mines in there where they're these super powerful AIs that were designed to defend planets and stuff like that, and that did like. Genie is like a war mind, and him being a genie and he's bound to them because that's his programming and all that kind of stuff. And it's like he's not actually a genie, that's just what they think of him as, because he can do these impossible things. And they're like, oh, I want to be like a prince. He's like, well, I can make things appear. Like I can rearrange the molecules to make whatever appear like that. So it's a funny thing. Interesting.
Yeah.
But that's why there's like the Scandinavian kingdom and like other people and stuff like that.
It's interesting.
It all leads back to, I loved it so much. He was so goofy, and like when he's talking to her in the party, he's like twirling his thing. He's like, yes, they tell me I'm quite beautiful.
That actor is
I
really
love
good.
kitties. Yes, come here, puss puss. I loved his after like everything he said. It was so much. It was so
It was
funny.
good. He was in Game Night. He was excellent.
Was he?
And he's in Maniac. He does a great job in Maniac. It's the Netflix series, which I recommend. It was good.
Oh.
So.
He also plays a serious character in something, which
Yeah, he's getting some.
He does some stuff. But yeah, I talk about a character. I feel like he was just supposed to be like a throwaway dumb prince, and everyone loved him so much.
And he's like, no, I'm gonna.
They're like, Dad, bring him back in the party scene. Bring him back. He's a funny guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's like the perfect thing for him to be like talking to Jasmine, and then give Aladdin the chance to like swoop in.
Yeah, I forget. He's also in Into the Woods. He is in The Big Short, which I haven't seen, but of course is like an Oscar winner. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's a cool dude.
He's in a couple other Guy Ritchie movies, I think. One or two others. But
yeah, here's my other biggest disappointment with this movie.
Tell me.
I thought maybe with Arabian Nights or with the Genie song, they might rework it to be a Fresh Prince rap instead. And I was like, that would have been cool. They did well with it, and I think it would have been a lot harder to pull off, which is probably why they didn't try to do it. But I know Will Smith recently did some more touring as Fresh Prince. So I was like, oh, are they going to bring it out Fresh Prince rap? Because I am on board for that.
He rapped in there's a credits song where it was
he performs in that?
Yeah.
I was too distracted by DJ Khaled.
I think he's rapping with DJ Khaled in that song, and then there's a song right after.
DJ Khaled, that man, I tell you what, baffles me. I don't understand him. I don't know how to understand him.
He's a producer who's actually a producer, which means he's good at making the music, and he can rap with people like that.
You were here. He was on like the last episode of Saturday Night Live, the one with, I think it was Paul Rudd's episode.
Yes.
And he's there, and he just like, I'm here, and then he just announces rappers, and there's like 5 people come on during the song, and he's just there, he's bobbing his head. He's not a great dancer, he's not a good rapper, but what he can do is introduce people. So it's like, why? He's a music producer that's also an MC that's also a rapper, but he doesn't really rap. He's just an MC that's there on stage that's bringing out... It was just weird. I was like, I understand you're a good producer, but you're not really a performer. What are you doing here?
Well, because I've listened to some of his rap, and it's not bad. Like, he can rap, but he's good at making beats.
Yeah.
For other people to rap to.
Right.
And, like, being a hype man.
He's not a very good hype man, though.
For himself, he is.
Just at least the live performance of Saturday Night Live that I saw, I was like, what?
Yeah. I think he's moved to a point where he is like...
He's an entity of itself.
Well, he's a guy that he's famous and can suck other people into his famousness. He's
got the connections and people...
Yeah, he joins people together, and he's the nexus that joins a lot of the industry together.
When the movie ended and credits rolled, and I just heard DJ, I was like, what? I'm sticking around for this song. What is happening?
That's the final nail in my coffin of, like, it was aimed at a younger audience, but it was like, they're like, this is what the kids like, but it's like they half got what like 8-year-olds like and half like what like 28-year-olds like.
Mm-hmm.
And they just split that when it's like, you probably would have done better aiming at the mid-20s, not the 8-year-olds, but it would have either way been a better movie overall if you had picked one to aim at.
Yeah, but like you kind of mentioned, for the sake of commercial success, they tried to split the difference.
Yeah, which I think will hurt it in the long run. Here's my theory. 20 years from now, people will still shill out $20 to purchase the 1990 whatever or 80 whatever cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody will remember the fact that these ever got made.
And that's the thing. Like, Pete's Dragon was so good because no one liked Pete's Dragon, and they could do whatever they wanted to it and wrote a whole new story. If they could do that with... But there's so few Disney cartoons that fall in that.
Yeah.
But the Black Cauldron, they could make a Black Cauldron movie. They could make a Black Cauldron trilogy if they wanted to dive into a fantasy world and do like a Hobbit-style thing and
I hope they do that. That would be real cool. Because I didn't like the Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
I thought it was creepy. I didn't like Gurky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was... Shout
out if you hated Gurky, because he was a creepy little mongoloid that stole things constantly, and he never redeemed himself. He died.
Have I told you my fun fact about Black Cauldron?
Tell me.
I'm sure I've said this in the podcast. I'll say it again.
Definitely.
It originally, the first cut of Black Cauldron was an R-rated film.
Oh yeah.
It came back as R-rated, and they were like, yeah, these battle scenes were with all the blood and head chopping off. You got to cut those. And Disney was like, crap. Didn't have time, so they cut out those parts. The music doesn't match during the battle scenes. Like, it's like a real hodgepodge thing where they're like, we just gotta cut out the R-rated parts and just mash it back together because we have to release this. And so they were just done with it. That was definitely a low point for Disney.
Here's
when they made an R-rated cartoon by accident.
Yeah, well, because they didn't think, they're like, we've gotten away with awful things.
Rescuers Down Under. I'm saying just that's another property they could
I thought you were talking about
a live action series. People would be like,
Awful Things was the Rescuers
No.
Down Under. I'm like, I mean, there's some
Great
stuff.
Mouse Detective.
Yeah. Here's what I want. Hey, let's start a petition to give the Black Cauldron to Peter Jackson with a blank check.
I would love that.
I want, is it Bob Iger? Right? Who's the current one?
Yep. I think it's pronounced Eager, but I could
Well,
be
the
wrong.
Eager was one, and now it was Eager, now it's Iger.
Eisner, Eager.
Eisner, okay.
It's Disney,
Iger.
Eisner.
Iger. The current one. Just go
Eager.
to Peter Jackson and be
Eager.
like, hey, here's a piece of paper saying you have the right to make a Black Cauldron movie. Here's a check. I'm just going to sign my name. You put the number you need on there and just do it.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
Because he would nail it, I think. But don't do what they did. Don't do him dirty like... Who owns Lord of the Rings movie rights? Who's responsible for The Hobbit?
I forget.
I like the Hobbit movies. Don't get me wrong. I like them in the way I like the original Star Wars. Not the original. The Star Wars prequel trilogies.
Yeah.
In that I love them. They hold a special place in my heart. But they are not good. I have seen the Hobbit movies way more often than I've seen the prequels again, though. But don't do that. Just be like, hey, here you go.
Yeah.
Take one. You seen they're making their Dark Crystal series coming out?
Yeah, I did see that.
Another creepy movie that's horrifying.
That is a very horrifying movie. I had the biggest crush on that little puppet girl.
Yeah, you did.
When I was 7 years old, I was like, she's the one.
She's
That's
the
woman
I need in my life.
That's the puppet I'm going to marry.
It is the film that I think made everybody realize. Yeah, so this Muppets guy is a little messed up.
Now his son is making R-rated Muppet comedies, so.
Yeah, and he's involved in this one too, so it's much closer to, the original vision of his pure, innocent Muppet making father of there's going to be just hardcore sex scenes, there's going to be murder, aggressive drug use.
I'm
that's
so upset I had to watch that trailer.
Which trailer?
The one for the R-rated
Muppets?
Muppet comedy.
I wanted to go see
Not
it.
a Muppet movie. It's just Brian Henson, the son of Jim Henson, made a movie with puppets. And
He made a movie with
McCarthy.
Muppets, let's be honest. It's a Muppets
It's in the
movie.
same style, same guy who created Muppet Treasure Island created it. Anyway, it's fine. I just...
Did you see the movie?
No, I think when we saw Deadpool and we saw something, there was like
Yeah.
a red band trailer for that puppet movie that was just...
Which I thought the trailer... Here's the thing. The trailers, I was like, this looks like it could be funny. Like, it's not going to be good, but it looks like there will be funny jokes. Like, it looked like the chemistry of... Was it Melissa McCarthy and who played the guy detective?
I forget.
Like, it looked like them and then the Muppet things. Like, it looked like it had good jokes and it had funny writing, but it looked like it was going to be just a throwaway, like, funny movie to watch. Mm-hmm. Apparently, not good. Like, just bad. Like, the funny parts are in the trailer.
The whole premise of the joke is that these are
Muppet.
Muppets and they're not supposed to be R-rated and terrible. So it's like they have to lean in on everything being really raunchy and really dirty, and you're like, well, that's not
Apparently
like a
they
good
just-
basis for comedy.
Like, I seem to remember it being like they don't even do that very well. Like, if they had done that a lot, I think a lot of people would have liked it more.
Yeah.
But it was just like a few funny jokes and then a boring detective story or something like that. Like, that's what it was. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But so as a part, it's when you really look at all of the like nostalgic remakes, Disney is nailing it every time. As far as like when compared to those around it, even with Dumbo, which I don't like to bring up, it hurts me in my soul to bring it up. But when you compare it to like all these other nostalgic cash grabs, like even that's better.
Yeah.
Like it's at least a movie that makes sense. It has a cast of good actors. The effects look good.
Mm-hmm.
It has some real funny moments. Like, I gotta tell you, the Dumbo being cute and that mermaid girl almost saved that movie for me. Almost. But unfortunately, one-armed cowboy lost me real hard. I'll have you know, and I've said it before, Cody, what's the one thing I will not allow in my movies? Cowboys. It was really the daughter. Can we talk? Can we go back on that just a little bit?
The robot daughter.
The robot daughter is what killed the movie. Every piece of the story tied to her is why that movie was bad.
Yeah,
and I hate to say it when it's a kid actor that does that because I feel like I'm personally attacking the child, but it had nothing to do with her. She was bad at delivering it, but the adults should have seen. Hey, not good.
Tim Burton, in his 30 years of experience, should have been like, "Oh right, this is a bad performance. Let's get a better performance out of this actor."
It's like, people liked Johnny Depp being all weird and robotic and not talking when he was Edward Scissorhands, but that was Johnny Depp, and it was a movie that a lot of people didn't actually like.
This little girl, her hands are just hands. She has no scissor hands to make her more interesting. Yeah. No superpowers of being able to cut hair.
Yeah, she is not charming. She is not fashionable like Johnny Depp. She was wearing no white face makeup. That's why I want to see Cody. I want to see a white face movie. I've said it a million times. Every podcast I bring it up.
In what way?
All foreign actors. They have to be foreign. So not just people of color. They have to be. I love how that's the PC way to say that, but it feels so racist.
So much worse.
It feels so racist to say that. Mm-hmm. So not just white people. But
non-whites. That sounds
not just
worse
non-whites.
Too. Sounds bad too.
Literally everyone but whites. Hate them. Hate them whites. All from foreign countries.
Non-whites, non-Americans. All put into white makeup, playing
and
Americans.
Blonde wigs, playing
like blue contact lenses.
A teen summer movie. There we go.
I would love to watch that.
We've made the perfect film. I've just described white chicks. I feel like that's what I described there. I mean, just replace white chicks with a couple of foreign
created
guys.
White chicks. That's
the worst version of white chicks, which wasn't good.
Oh my goodness.
There's definitely a student film that's done that, right? Done whiteface as like a political statement or something like that.
What else is there to say about Aladdin? It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's here's the thing. I think if the original Aladdin had never come out, this would have been looked at as an amazing movie that had flaws.
Yeah.
But I think compared to one of the most successful movies of all time, and a movie like that, I recently listened to a podcast talking about how, when we were kids, like there was Beauty and the Beast, which was the girl kids movie that all of the toys, every girl owned the movie and owned the toys from it and knew it, memorized it, and every boy knew the Aladdin movie and had Aladdin action figures. Or dolls. We're men. We're adults. We can admit they were dolls. Knew the songs. And then Lion King was like the meeting point where everyone loved that one.
Liked Lion King, yeah.
So it's like everybody saw Aladdin. Everybody. Mm-hmm. You're not going to find a new audience for this story because everyone will have always seen the original Aladdin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
it's difficult.
It's interesting. You think of Rotten Tomatoes? Tomato meter, what would you guess? This is the critics.
The critics, isn't it like 40, 50, somewhere in there?
56.
56%,
which is not great. Disney's done better on a lot of the other ones, but audience score, what'd you guess?
87.
94%.
94?
Which is a great audience score. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think most people would enjoy it. I think you should watch it if you're at all interested.
Yeah. Which, before we close out, since I don't think we're going to do a podcast on it, can we just take a minute and talk about a movie we just recently went to go see at the front row of an IMAX theater, which was probably the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. Sure. But I'm pretty sure you had a headache at the end of it.
Uh-huh.
What movie, Cody?
Godzilla. King of the Monsters.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to take a few minutes, go over it, discuss it. Let me know how you feel about it.
I mean, what's there to say? When the monsters are fighting, it's pretty good. When they're not, it's fine.
Yeah, it's like
It's fine.
my favorite thing
They could
was
have maybe cut out some time of the story, the B story, which was the A story, which was not Godzilla. Which, why are you gonna name a Godzilla movie and then do a movie about a family that's struggling with because their child died? Like, that's way heavier than Godzilla getting tackled through a building, because that's what I was there for. But anyway, it's good. The monsters look great.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know.
Can I share with you the best like the best thing about it, of like why it was, you know, the stuff?
Yeah.
So I was listening to a podcast where they were discussing this film. They had gone to go see it. They were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some of these guys out here talking about didn't like it. Nah, enough. Nah, not good enough. But most people digging it, right?
Yeah.
Because they're credible sources that went to go see the movie and loved it, right?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, there was a lot of people, and there's a lot of people who are talking about there's too many people, too many humans in the movie, but it's always just humans in a room. And it's like the group stays together. There's two groups, really. But, I mean, they stay together. They don't, like, split off into 18 different things that can take up, like, half an hour of the movie for literally nothing. They stay together, and the only thing they are used for is to be like, Godzilla's over here now. This is how he got there. Back to Godzilla. Go.
Yeah.
Like, that's their role in the movie. Of, like, here's the story. Here's a reason for these people to be here and to care about Godzilla. And the only time you will see them is when something has changed with the monsters, and you need to know what has happened with the monsters.
Yeah.
And I like how that was like the good guy group. That was their whole point, and the bad guy group's point seemed to be connecting creating a connected universe. Mm-hmm. Which, because there's an interview with, I can't remember his name, but the guy who plays the main eco-terrorist.
Yeah. Christopher
Waltz. I don't know.
Lloyd.
Where they asked him about the next movie he was in, and he said, well, it wouldn't be Godzilla versus Kong, it would be the next movie in the franchise. Mm-hmm. Which a lot of people, which I think he accidentally spoiled that, because you weren't supposed to know.
Yeah.
But it's so there's going to be this connected universe thing. So yeah, it's a connected universe that they're doing. I like how they're doing it.
Yeah, I am curious to see where it goes. I kind of wish I had seen the first movie.
We'll have to watch it.
Although I did look up, there is a Japanese Godzilla movie from 2016, I think, called Shin Godzilla that has like a much better score. And I was like, I kind of want to watch that one, actually.
Yeah, a ton of people really liked that one. That's like a old school standalone Godzilla destroying Tokyo, I think.
Ooh, nice.
Whereas this one, I think, from the beginning has been intended to create this, because there had been rumors that they were testing the waters with the Bryan Cranston Godzilla.
Yeah. For
a monster cinematic universe, if you will, like restarting when they used to put these out every few years.
Yeah.
Consistently.
It was like Godzilla versus Mothra, Godzilla versus Ghidorah, Godzilla versus whatever.
And they would have shared characters and a through storyline that nobody really cared about.
Yeah.
And that was they were testing the waters for it, and then Skull Island was them like starting it and seeing if people would like it and if they would pick up on it, and everybody went nuts. Who cares about them? And we're like picking apart the opening of the movie where it had all the footage and stuff. Like, there's people that go through those scene like frame by frame now to like find all the articles and see the stuff before it gets redacted and things like that.
Yeah.
And like the fact that people are that into it has kind of and they've kind of indicated, I think, that they're going for it, and it's going to be
the critic score for this Godzilla movie really bad. It's like 38%, but the audience score is like 87. So
yeah,
I think they've got like the audience support for it.
Well, I think that's kind of what Legendary as a production company seems to always have cared a lot more about audience reaction than critical reaction.
Yeah, which is maybe why it's been so hard for like Christopher Nolan, for example, to get like Oscar recognition.
Yeah,
he's been doing most of his films for Legendary, I think. I don't know if his last one, if Dunkirk was, but all the other ones were for a long time.
Yeah, which I really like Legendary because they do that. They're like, we're gonna make. They seem to pump out more fun movies, not Oscar bait movies.
Yeah.
And like, because I mean, Disney does a similar thing of like all of their movies. They seem to care very little about critical reception and more about will fans of this property like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think they've learned from not doing that for so long.
Yeah.
And having so many flops. You know, like at a point you lose too much money and you have to start caring about if the people spending the money on the movie like the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which I like the movie, and I will be going to see it again this week.
Ooh.
Yes.
Good for you.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. Would you recommend Godzilla?
If you're interested.
Would you recommend the front row of the IMAX?
No. I would say second or third row, yes. And I would say first row for a 90-minute movie, of course. First row for a 2-hour movie, I hit a breaking point at 90 minutes, and I was like, oof, all right, I need to... this is trouble for me.
Yeah. I guess if you get headaches from, like, sitting too close to the TV, or I could see if you get motion sick from, like, there's people who get motion sick just from the looking at motion too much.
Yeah.
So, like, even those video roller coasters that aren't real roller coasters will make a motion sick. If you're one of those people... Definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was so cool to be there in that front row, and you got Godzilla standing there, and it's like, that's like close to the size of actual Godzilla, dude.
Yeah.
It's not actually close. He's bigger than a skyscraper.
Yeah.
But the scale felt much more impactful.
Yeah, I was impressed that we were that close, and I didn't see any pixelation or anything. Like, the picture looked great.
Yeah. Which wouldn't have happened, I feel like, in Dolby. I feel like there's so many times I go and see these movies where I'm like, clean the screen, man. Like, it looks like when you got a smudge on your screen in your laptop. And there's always that in, like, the center. And I'm like, oh. In the Dolby, no, in the Prime Theater at our theater, I'm going to ruin it for you right now. There is a dent in the top middle, slightly to the left of the screen. Drives me nuts every time. It's so noticeable on, like, a white background. It's like a little light bulb is just right there. It drives me crazy. I
can't go back to the Prime Theater.
I'm gonna point it out to you when we go to.
Well, we had a good run.
I would recommend this one, the original Godzilla with Bryan Cranston of this franchise, the original one. Recommend it. Really good. Kong Skull Island. I thought that was really good and really funny at times.
Yeah.
I think this whole series is nailing it. Doing exactly what people want.
They're definitely doing popcorn movie vibe, and they're not trying to make it anything more than that. They're like, this is... Yeah.
Well, they're hitting it where it's like...
this one, they did a little bit more, because they did throw that family story in. Kong Skull Island is like...
Did you see... You didn't see... There's a lot more... Kong is in Skull Island much less than Godzilla is in...
Right, but it seemed more like it was an action movie.
Yeah.
Action-adventure movie.
But it's like...
And Kong's in it.
Part of the action, like... I would say over half the action is the people doing stuff.
Right. But that's still action, whereas this one, it's...
Yeah, there's like a human story, a human drama, which I felt there was too much of.
I agree.
These critics out here, what do they want?
Give me Godzilla drama.
They wanted Godzilla sex. They wanted the 1999 Godzilla. Was it you who's telling me they did a thing where it was all of them?
Fandango or someone, they threw out a thing and it was like Godzilla from over the years. And they just skipped right. They hit so many of them, and they skipped right over the 1999 one. I was like, "Come on, you cowards!"
Which that Godzilla looks cool.
It was more like a dinosaur lizard than it was like a T-Rex / lizard.
Yeah, I think the idea of that one too was it was like an iguana that got mutated, not an ancient
beast.
So it wasn't a kaiju. It wasn't intended to be a kaiju. It was intended to be a mutation. That's why. Ferris Bueller's his whole thing is he studies mutations.
What? Ferris Bueller? Oh, Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
Gosh.
You got there in the end.
I did.
So, I would watch all of them. I want to introduce you to all of them and Guy Ritchie's movies.
Okay. Let's do it. Right now.
All right. I just want to know who the Oscar-winning character they're going to kill in the next Godzilla movie.
I did love that. That made me really happy.
Yeah, it's like they've leaned into that joke now.
They got Sally Hawkins in the movie. From Shape of Water. Oscar nominated. They killed her 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
They're like, yoink, she's gone.
Yeah, which I just think is funny because I want to know. I need to rewatch Skull Island to see if they did it in that one too.
Yeah.
They're like, we're just gonna do this. Like, hey, look, we got we got who's the girl who plays like Rey from Star Wars?
Felicity Jones.
Daisy Ridley.
Oh, Daisy Ridley. Yeah.
Is that her name?
I was thinking Rogue One, Felicity Jones.
Oh yeah, we got her in the movie, and then like 5 minutes in, just have her be like, "Hey," and then die like immediately, like not even have a line in the movie. They're gonna get to the point where it's gonna be just like George Clooney filming a movie, and he dies while filming the movie. So yeah, overall. Talked about Aladdin. Talked about Godzilla. Go see them both.
Also see Booksmart. I tweeted about it, but you guys are all cowards for not watching Booksmart.
I did not go with you. I said I was going to, and then I just didn't show up.
Yeah. Which is too bad because it's probably the best movie I've seen in theaters this year. So.
Oof. I can't think of a better one.
Yeah.
But Cody, you talk about your Twitter, you mentioned it, you teased it.
I did. You can tweet me at Opinion Havers. I will interact with you. You can recommend movies for us to review. You can argue with me. You can, I don't know, shout at me for how mad you are at Tyler's opinions.
They're always mad, but they're too much of a coward.
Cowards.
A bunch of cowards. They won't say nothing. Or you could share the podcast. You could do that using your Twitter account. We can be found on Apple, to iTunes, the Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, whatever they want to call themselves nowadays. The Google Play, the Stitcher, the Podbean. I like throwing that one out because I like its name. Spotify.
Oh, Spotify. We're there.
All of them. All the ones.
Just want to thank everyone for listening. Until next time. Watch movies.
And have opinions. I'm getting a Godzilla roar.
I want to say Gojira because that's what the Japanese guy in the movie says, but I feel like it's gonna come off wrong.
He's like Gojira.
I love it when he says.
He says it very differently.
Well, because in Japanese it's Gojira,
Gojira,
and then in English it's Godzilla.
What about the guy that went
Godzilla? Yeah,
yeah.
I did not like it.